morning, top of the morning. He said that it's this thing called the rule of 10. The rule of 10 is 3 people gonna like it, 3 people not gonna like it, and 4 people just gonna be on the fence about it. Like they're just gonna kind of remain neutral and just wait to see what happens. I use that whenever I say anything in life.
What up, folks, man? Welcome back to the channel. We got a few things to cover. This is another episode of On the Fly, which is a little different from the normal content, the normal stories that I cover, but this episode is still personal. And we're going to get into the update of the channel, the conversation I had with Shorty Pop Sister, and a little more. But first, I wanted to stop here. This is where it all started for me. 1610 K Street, Northeast. I figured since I be on here telling the most traumatic part of people's lives, which is all public records, public cases, but at the very least, for those that don't know, I could take them back to my most traumatic experience, which is the death of my 3-year-old brother back in '89. This is where it all happened at, on K Street at this building. Crazy thing is, it still looked the same as it did back then. And age 5 is the furthest I can go back in my life. And the only thing I remember about age 5 is an accident at Charles Young Elementary School that resulted in me getting stitches and the death of my brother. The community in Northeast was very chill. Most of the people were older, retired folks. Even one of the residents said to the news crew that in all his years living at these apartments, the situation with my brother was the first as far as violence go. The people did a good job of keeping the community just as clean as it is right now. In fact, it still looked literally the same. But on the day my brother was accidentally killed, me, him, my sister, we was doing what little kids do, man, ripping and running through the apartment, getting into things. My mom would yell, "Stop running," from the living room while watching TV. My stepfather was at work. He was a mechanic. In fact, the only reason we were able to get an apartment at this place was because of his mom, who was retired and had been living there for many years. So again, as little kids, we meddling in things, and we found a gun in my dad's closet. We took it in our bedroom. It was a 2-bedroom apartment, and we were supposed to take turns holding it and playing with it. But at some point, the gun went off while my sister was holding it, and it struck him in the cheek, my little brother. It was a 9mm. He died right then and there. He was just 3 years old, man. I still remember the single tear rolling down his face. His eyes was wide open. My mother was hysterical, man. She had no idea we were in there doing. She ran into the hallway screaming. Me and my 7-year-old sister were in shock, just standing. We never really talked about this day as a family. Like a lot of people, we just kind of swept it under the rug and kept it moving. I believe it's a coping mechanism to keep it moving, staying busy, and not acknowledge the situation. My stepfather passed away years ago. We never talked about it either. But even now, I don't blame him. He was just another black man back in 1989 trying to protect himself and family. But he just went about it the wrong way, considering little kids were in the house running around. You would think I would be against firearms, but after the tragedy of my brother, nah, I love guns, legal firearms though. I know my stepfather probably never took any gun safety classes. Also, his gun wasn't even registered. But he was a working man, and that's what confused me. I know as a teen, I always thought you couldn't own a gun in the city. Maybe he had charges I don't know about, but it is what it is. Still, I understand the dangers of firearms. I make sure I safely store mine, and plus, my kids older, and they've been properly trained as well. But even with me owning many of them and having a carry permit now, I don't look forward to ever having to use them. Just like I told my neighbor, I told him it will cost me too much time and too much money to take a life, even when I'm in the right. Not saying that I won't protect myself, don't get it twisted, but I still have to recognize that fact. And him being gullible, in my opinion, he was confused and said, "You gotta do what you gotta do." We was talking about potential break-ins and what ifs. You know how you sit back and be like, man, what if somebody break in your house and they got 2 guns? Or we was talking about situations like that. See, in his mind, If he had to use his gun, he would just call the feds, explain his case, and that's it. He'll forget about it afterwards because he was in the right. But if I had to take a life while defending myself and my family, for me it don't stop there. Now I have to play what I call cleanup. I need to know more about this guy that tried to rob us. What's his name? What neighborhood do he come from? Is he popular around his way? Who's his family? His best friends? Will there be pushback? Cause you never know, man, how the next person may feel. I'm not gonna sleep comfortably until I have a good understanding of what it's gonna be. Plus, you're gonna lose the firearm because the feds gonna hold on to it for about 2 years until the case is well over. Possible lawyer fees. Man, you putting people to work at that point. Judges, DAs, attorneys. It ain't cheap. Too much time and too much money. Yes, sir, man, on the fly. So, all right, let's switch gears to Shorty Pop Sister and what she had to say about the video with MT. I know it took a minute, but there's a method to my madness, I promise you. And if you watch all the way through, you're gonna get it.
Like the little problems that I was having back in the day. Because I mean, the shit I was going through, I was getting money, I was this, that, and the other, but niggas was trying me and I had to put in work. But if he was there, I wouldn't have had to do a motherfucking thing. Because he was crazy like that. He used to always ask me and my brother, man, y'all got any niggas out here playing? That's just how and he be, and the motherfucking look on his face, he scare you with the looks, nah? Because he got scars and shit on his face. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He'll scare you with that motherfucking looks, nah? You know what I'm saying? I mean, Shorty was, I love him to death because he had a heart. I miss him because I miss the good. I miss Sheldon Watkins. I don't miss Pop. And that's God heaven's truth, man. But Sheldon Watkins laid back, love to laugh and love to smile. But Pop, man, Pop worse than motherfucker Sammy the Bull, man. Yeah. And can't nobody fuck with him. He's one of the greatest killers, nigga. But Pop was too. And he was that worse, yeah. But when he got around me and my brother-in-law, he was showing. But, when I got around him in certain areas, when he was Pop, he was scary,
So I had a conversation with Pop's sister. We actually talked about the video I did with MT. She said it was a couple of things she disagreed with as far as what he had said, which I can understand. She didn't go into details and I didn't press it, only because I could tell she didn't want to elaborate on it. That's a skill I learned from analyzing people, but overall she was super chill about it. And she did confirm that MT was a childhood friend of Shorty Pop, and she thanked me for doing a video on her brother. Yeah, she looked good too, man. I ain't gonna show her face, but this the video my man sent to me of her modeling or something. I was like, damn, Pop sister look good, respectfully though. But MT was right about one thing. She ain't coming on no YouTube to talk.
But Birdie ain't gonna really talk about none of that shit.
Cause I sure did ask her. A conversation with her or Shorty Pop's mother would be gold. And that was about it on that, man. She got class and she was real respectful. And I can respect that too, for sure. So look, walk with me. I didn't know how much I really needed to come back to this area to see the old apartment. It was kind of an emotional thing for me, man, for real, but necessary. It made me think about what it is I'm doing online with the type of content I create. I've been going through some files that I had, clips of past videos, and one of those videos, some of you may know about, titled Wayne Perry Making a Murderer Part 1. If you've been following me for some time, you probably saw that I did that video back in like April, May, I think, and then I took it down after a little troll situation. Actually, I was still kind of new to this YouTube shit. If I only knew what I know now, it would have went completely different. At the time, I said, man, forget all this, man. I spoke my piece on it, but now I know this is the internet. I don't take any negativity serious at all. It's mostly love being shown anyway. Why focus on 1 out of 100 when you could just ignore? It's the internet. It took time, but I now maneuver this space well, so since I gained about 8,000 more subscribers since that time, I'm about to re-upload the Wayne Perry Making a Murder video tomorrow at 12 noon. I watched that video recently and said, man, oh nah, man, this video gotta live on the channel. It must be a part of DC history on YouTube. It's meant to be, because it's the only complete video that I removed in the past that I still have. Being on site and then going to the Library of Congress made me realize the importance of telling the street side of the city. So the Library of Congress has a couple buildings. One is called the James Madison Building, and it's supposed to be the top source for researchers and journalists to get their hands on, you know, exclusive documents like old newspaper clippings and even videos. They have a room titled Motion Pictures and Television. And when I went there, the librarians helped me search a lot of different cases like Gerd Terrell and Lil Pop, and guess what? They ain't got shit on them. You mean to tell me this is one of the top research places that don't have the video clip reporting the news of Brandon Terrell at the Chapter 3 nightclub? They don't have the news clippings for Gary murder and much more. That bothered me. This the top source. They tap into web systems that's not on Google. How the hell they don't have the local stuff, man? Again, that made me want to go even harder with this, man. And I'm sorry to ramble, but that's wild. If you looking for John Dillinger or Jesse James, I bet news clippings and more pop up for those guys. I'm just saying, they did have a few like the Jamaicans, Kirk Bruce and them, but a lot is missing, and that's why it's important to do this for sure. Just like I still want to do the interview with Caprice and several women from the crack era and make a playlist titled The Real Housewives of the Crack Era. I think some of their stories would be interesting for real. Learning about everything from what made them stand out to their dealings with real money makers back in the day, that would be dope for sure. It would be better for them to come on here than some of these other platforms, which brings me to something I wanted to say to everybody with a story. Be careful who you attach yourself to, because there are platforms outside of the area looking to stir up trouble. Trying to get that DC on DC problems going, just ignore. That's why I put the hashtag 36 in the title for law number 36 of the 48 Laws of Power. And it says, by acknowledging a petty problem, you give it existence and credibility. The more attention you pay an enemy, the stronger you make them. Thanks for tuning in, man. We right back at it tomorrow at 12 noon with another video. And from then on, every week, new content for sure. I know I owe the Newton Street Crew video, the slush story. I ain't forget, man. We out.